There are moments in life when your heart feels heavy with worry, when it seems that every door you've knocked on has remained closed, and every prayer you've prayed echoes back in silence. You look around and see others moving ahead while you remain still, and the temptation to lose hope grows stronger each day. But what if I told you that the very moment you are about to give up is the moment right before God moves suddenly in your life? The God you serve does not operate according to human timelines. When He acts suddenly, without warning, without explanation, and without limits. Worry is the enemy of faith. It disguises itself as responsibility, as concern, but at its core, worry is doubt dressed up as logic. It tells you that maybe God has forgotten you, that maybe your prayers are not enough, that maybe you have failed too many times to be helped. But listen, God is not looking at your failures, He is looking at your faith. Even when your faith feels weak, even when all you can whisper is, "Lord, help me," He hears that whisper and prepares a breakthrough that will silence your fears forever. You must understand that God's timing is not delay, it's preparation. He hides you for a season so that when He reveals you, no man can take the credit. When God moves suddenly, it's never random. It's the result of everything He has been aligning behind the scenes. You thought nothing was happening, but heaven was moving mountains in silence. You thought the situation was dead, but God was working resurrection power while you were sleeping. You thought your dream had expired, but God was just waiting for the moment when your faith would be strong enough to carry the blessing. So stop worrying. The storm you are in is not meant to destroy you. It's meant to position you. The pain you feel is not punishment. It's proof that you are still in God's hands. When life becomes unbearable, it's not a sign that God has abandoned you. It's a sign that He's about to show up in a way that no one saw coming. Every great move of God begins in silence. Every miracle starts with waiting. Every suddenly begins with not yet. You see, God doesn't need time, He uses time. He's the creator of time, the master of seasons, and the redeemer of moments. What takes man years to build, God can complete in one divine moment. One sudden phone call can change your life. One unexpected encounter can open a door you never knew existed. One answered prayer can wipe away years of struggle. That's how God works, suddenly, powerfully, and perfectly. But for Him to move suddenly, you must stop moving in panic. Worry keeps your hands clenched so tightly that God cannot place new blessings in them. Faith opens your hands and says, "Lord, I don't see how, but I trust You." When you let go of worry, you make space for miracles. When you release fear, you invite peace. When you stop trying to control everything, you finally see how God was in control all along. The people who experience sudden blessings are not the ones who try to figure everything out. They are the ones who rest in God's promise, even when everything looks impossible. Do you remember how suddenly the Red Sea parted? How suddenly Joseph went from the prison to the palace? How suddenly David was anointed king? None of them saw it coming, yet all of them trusted while they were waiting. That's the power of faith. It invites sudden miracles. Maybe today you feel forgotten, like your prayers have bounced off heaven's doors. But what you don't realize is that heaven has already released the answer. It's just waiting for the right moment to manifest. God's suddenly will come when you least expect it. The same God who spoke light into darkness will speak life into your situation. The same God who turned water into wine will turn your tears into testimony. The same God who raised Lazarus from the dead will raise your broken dreams again. Stop worrying about how it will happen. Just believe that it will. When your faith meets God's timing, miracles manifest. The doors that were shut will open, the opportunities that were stolen will return, and the battles you thought you lost will become victories that glorify God. What you thought was over is not over. God has the final word, and His word never fails. Worry drains your energy, but faith multiplies your strength. Every time you worry, you give power to fear. Every time you trust, you give power to God's promises. So shift your focus. Instead of saying, "What if it doesn't happen?" Start saying, "What if it does?" Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" begin to declare, "This is happening for me." God doesn't waste pain. He uses it to prepare you for the blessing that's coming. You don't need to see the whole picture to trust the artist. God sees the beginning and the end at once. While you are crying over one chapter, He's already written your victory in the next. Your story is not ending in failure, it's unfolding into a testimony. You just need to hold on long enough to see what God has been preparing for you. So breathe, rest. Let the storm rage outside, your peace comes from within. The same God who calmed the sea will calm your heart. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. Heaven knows your name, your pain, and your promise. And just when it looks like all hope is gone, God will step in suddenly, powerfully, and perfectly. He will do it for you. Not gradually, not partially, but completely. The chains will break suddenly. The healing will come suddenly. The opportunity will appear suddenly. The prayer you whispered in tears will be answered in joy. When it happens, you'll understand why you had to wait, why the doors were closed, and why God said, "Not yet." Because what He's preparing for you is far greater than what you were praying for. Stop worrying. Keep believing. God's suddenly is closer than you think. There is one truth that changes everything. God never forgets what He promised you, even when it feels like nothing is happening. You may not see movement, you may not feel progress, but in the invisible realm, God is arranging something powerful for your good. The waiting season is never wasted, it's divine preparation. Every tear you've cried, every prayer that seemed unanswered, every disappointment that made you question your worth, it's all part of the process leading to a sudden move of God that will shift your life in a way you never imagined. When God is about to move suddenly, He first takes you through a silent season. That's when worry tries to take over your heart. You begin to question why doors are closing, why relationships are ending, and why everything you planned is falling apart. But what you don't realize is that God often allows things to be shaken before He establishes something unshakable. He removes what is temporary so He can give you what is eternal. You think He's taking something from you, but He's actually making room for something greater. You think you're being delayed, but you're actually being developed. The reason most people miss the sudden move of God is that they give up right before it happens. They get tired of waiting. They let fear and doubt take the place of faith. But God's promise never expires. It doesn't matter how long it's been, it's still alive. The Bible says, "Though it tarries, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not delay." That means the timing of your miracle is already set. It cannot be stolen, it cannot be cancelled, it cannot be delayed beyond God's will. You see, God does not reveal His timing because He wants your faith to grow stronger than your sight. If you could see everything, there would be no need to trust Him. Faith is not built in comfort, it's built in the unknown. When everything seems silent and heaven feels distant, that's when faith has to speak louder than your fear. When you choose to trust God in uncertainty, you are saying, "Lord, I believe You even when I cannot see You." And that is the kind of faith that moves heaven. Every story of breakthrough in Scripture has one thing in common: waiting. Abraham waited for his promised son. Joseph waited in a prison cell. Moses waited in the wilderness. David waited years to become king. But when God finally moved, He moved suddenly. One moment Joseph was in chains, and the next he was ruling Egypt. One day David was hiding in caves, and the next he was seated on the throne. That is how God operates. He allows waiting to stretch your faith so that when the blessing comes, you will have the strength to carry it. But worry weakens what faith builds. Worry says, "What if it never happens?" Faith says, "It's already on the way." Worry looks at the problem, faith looks at the promise. When you allow worry to dominate your mind, you stop God's flow of peace. Worry is like a thief. It steals your sleep, your strength, your clarity, and your joy. And the more you feed it with thoughts of fear, the bigger it grows. But when you choose faith over worry, everything begins to shift, your perspective changes. You begin to see delays not as denials, but as divine direction. You begin to realize that every closed door was protection. God never wanted you to live a life controlled by anxiety. He wants you to live in the assurance that He is in control. When you truly trust that, your heart becomes peaceful even when life is chaotic. You stop chasing outcomes and start resting in promises. You stop trying to make things happen and start allowing God to move in His perfect time. That's when He shows up suddenly. Not when you're striving, but when you're surrendered. Not when you're anxious, but when you're at peace. There are times when God hides His hand so that you can see His heart. He may not show you the how, but He always gives you peace about the when. And peace is the evidence that God is near. You may be waiting for a breakthrough, a healing, a financial miracle, a family restoration. But let me tell you this, while you're waiting, God is working. You may not see it, but angels are being dispatched, doors are being prepared, hearts are being softened, and opportunities are being positioned in your favor. It's like a seed buried in the ground. For a long time, it looks like nothing is happening. But deep under the soil, roots are growing strong. When the right season comes, that seed breaks through the ground suddenly. That's how your breakthrough works. You may feel buried, but you're not buried to die. You're buried to grow. God is growing your roots in secret so that when your suddenly moment comes, you'll be ready to stand tall and unshakable. Sometimes God delays the miracle because He's fixing what you cannot see. Maybe He's preparing the right people to help you. Maybe He's removing toxic connections that would destroy your destiny. Maybe He's teaching you to depend fully on Him so that when the blessing comes, you will know it was God and not man who made it happen. God doesn't rush perfection. He's not late. He's strategic. His silence is not absence, it's preparation. You don't have to carry the burden of how. You only have to believe in who. God said, "Be still and know that I am God." That means stop overthinking, stop panicking, stop imagining worst-case scenarios. Just know that He's working all things together for your good. The same God who parted the Red Sea for Moses will part the impossibilities in your life. The same God who provided manna from heaven will provide every need you have. The same God who raised Lazarus from the dead can raise your situation from the ashes. When you look back one day, you will see how every delay, every tear, and every unanswered prayer was a setup for something greater. You will thank God for the doors that didn't open because they would have led you away from His best. You will understand why the wait was necessary, why the pain was purposeful, and why His timing was perfect. You will say, "If I had received what I wanted when I wanted it, I would have missed what God had planned for me." So instead of asking, "Why hasn't it happened yet?" start declaring, "It's on the way." Instead of saying, "I can't handle this anymore," say, "God is strengthening me for what's coming." Replace every worry with a word of faith. When fear says you'll fail, respond with, "God never fails." When doubt says it's impossible, reply with, "God, all things are possible." Speak faith even when you don't see it. Speak victory even when it looks like defeat. You have to learn to trust the process because God is both the author and the finisher of your story. He doesn't write halfway. If He started something in you, He will finish it. The storm may be loud, but your destiny is louder. The enemy may be trying to convince you that it's over, but God says, "I am about to do it suddenly." He doesn't need a long time to bless you. It only takes one divine moment. When your faith aligns with His will, heaven begins to move on your behalf. That's why you can't give up now. You've come too far to let worry win. God's promise is closer than it appears. The pain you feel today is the final stretch before the breakthrough. The tears you cry tonight are watering the harvest that's about to spring forth. The silence you feel is the sound of heaven getting ready to move. So lift your eyes from your problems and fix them on God's promise. Speak to your soul and say, "Peace, be still." Remind yourself that your story is not finished, your prayers are not forgotten, and your future is not hopeless. You are standing on the edge of a miracle that will come suddenly, in a way you least expect, at a time you cannot predict, but in a manner that only God could orchestrate. The waiting is not punishment, it's preparation. The silence is not neglect, it's setup. The delay is not denial, it's divine alignment. And when the moment arrives, everything will make sense. God will turn your worry into worship, your fear into faith, and your waiting into a testimony that will inspire generations. So stop worrying. God hasn't forgotten you. He hasn't abandoned His plan. He's simply waiting for the perfect moment to show you that He was in control the entire time. And when He moves, He will do it suddenly. So now, take a deep breath and rest your heart. God has never forgotten a single prayer you've prayed, nor a single tear you've shed. Everything you've gone through, the silence, the waiting, the heartbreak, was not wasted. It was preparation for the miracle that is already on its way to you. What feels delayed is only hidden until the perfect moment arrives. And when that moment comes, it will come suddenly, so suddenly that it will erase years of worry in a single divine move. The same God who parted seas, healed the sick, and raised the dead is still the same today. He has not changed, and His power has not weakened. If He did it before, He will do it again, for you, in your life, at your appointed time. So stop worrying about how it will happen. You don't need to know the details, you just need to trust the destiny. God will do it suddenly, far beyond your expectations, faster than your timeline, and greater than your imagination. Keep your faith alive, keep your heart steady, and keep your eyes lifted toward heaven. Because when God moves, it won't just bless you, it will surprise you, overwhelm you, and remind you that no matter what, He is always faithful. The waiting may have tested you, but the miracle will prove that it was all worth it. God will do it for you, suddenly.